Hello, and welcome to another segment of Broken Pieces. Living in anger is sometimes a silent trap that people, they just don't see they're even in. They become so accustomed to living in anger that it becomes their norm. Have you ever walked by a house and it is so decrepit, so out of shape, that when you walk by you can tell there's missing fence boards, the yard is in dire need of weed control and maybe even be mowed. You can see that the screen door is just flapping in the wind. The siding needs to be repaired or painted. And if that's what the outside of the house looks like, you can only imagine what the inside of the house looks like. When you're living in anger, sometimes your whole life is just cluttered and in need of repair. And when your house, when your outside is that decrepit, you can only imagine what the inside is like. And then try to imagine willingly wanting to walk up to that house, knock on the door, and introduce yourself to that owner. More likely, you're just gonna go along the sidewalk and get past that house as fast as you can. You see, when you live in anger, it's very hard for you to actually disguise. But quite often, you don't even know that you're actually living in anger. It just became your norm. And what happens is that is what the nature of anger tried to create and did. You see, when you're in the nature of anger and you lash out uncontrollably upon your loved ones, it takes them out of your life. And anger doesn't just destroy your life immediately, it removes things one at a time, and you don't see them disappearing. And when it removes these things one at a time, we often blame those things for leaving our life, which allows us to get even angrier as we blame things that we chased out of our life. People, events, hobbies, things we used to love. And if you're living in anger, a good way of telling this is that there's people that you love or loved that are no longer in your life. There's events and hobbies you used to do that you now quickly turn down when given the opportunity to. You used to be someone who went out and enjoyed life, and now you lock yourself away watching TV or on the internet, scrolling social media. You turn to addiction, gambling, smoking, drugs, drinking, sometimes sex, stealing. There's many different addictions out there. And that's all good signs you're living in anger. I want you to imagine that your life is a beautiful flower garden. And there are hundreds of flowers within that garden. Every one of those flowers represents the positive things that make you special. They are every relationship, they're your achievements, your awards, your fashion sense, your intelligence, all your hobbies, anything that makes you special is in that flower garden. And then one day, unexpectedly, this seed blows into your garden and it lands and it quickly grows and shows itself to be a weed. And like all weeds, what they do is they block sunshine and they absorb nutrients and they choke out some flowers. And if that weed goes unnoticed, then more weeds will grow and it'll block more sunshine, absorb more nutrients, choking out even more flowers. And then more weeds grow and more weeds grow, choking out more flowers, and this continues on until what was a beautiful flower garden now becomes a weed-infested plot of land. That is how anger works. It doesn't destroy your life immediately. It works silently, and it works deliberately, meaningfully, purposefully, destroying the good things in your life one by one, to the point that you don't even realize these things are being removed from your life. When you live in anger, it doesn't mean it's the end of the end. There are going to be sometimes people you have hurt so bad that you may not be able to repair those relationships. But it also means that you have to actually live up to the harm you've done and go admit to them and just apologize. Even if it's too late for you to repair the relationship, you still need to apologize for those actions and those words that hurt people you once loved and that once loved you. Because see, when you go and you apologize to those people, you have to humble yourself. And anger hates being humbled. When you humble yourself, you also learn that it's not as much fun to go and humble yourself as you would think. Which then makes it a little less likely that you're going to lash out the next time. Maybe you'll be a little bit more reserved in the words that you choose to say, in the texts you choose to send, and in the actions you choose to give. Living in anger also means that you have to stop saying no, and you have to start saying yes. You have to start saying, yes, I want to do that again. Yes, I want to go and do something that I actually love. Thank you for inviting me. But so often I have found that people, when they're in anger, they find no good reason to say no automatically to things that they love to do, with people that they love to be with, on opportunities they used to always accept. And for some reason, it just seems like anger creates this no attitude in us, without even thinking about what it is you're offered to do. Now, I'm not going to be to the point that you have to say yes to everything, because sometimes there are things that you'll say yes to that can hurt you. But there are things that you love to do and things that aren't going to hurt you. Give it a shot. I live a life where I believe that if I see a door cracked open, I'm going to kick it down. And the reason I believe that is because a cracked open door, to me, is opportunity. And if I walk by that door, I will never have the chance to find out what was behind that door. It doesn't mean when I go through that door that it's going to be something that I'm going to always enjoy or think is beneficial. But at least I gave it the try. And I said yes. And I saw what was on the other side. And sometimes I find what's on the other side of that door is very beneficial. And other times like, this isn't for me. And I close the door and I keep on my way. But I will never walk by a door that's cracked open. Because when I do, I actually hinder myself from gaining things in this world, from making me a better person, from learning and growing. And also, when you pass by opportunity, again, that's what anger wants. It wants you to say no to growth. It wants you to hurt people. It wants you to say no to things you love to do. Because when you do those things, anger gets to live in you. And then you get to live in anger. And then you end up being that house that's in need of much repair and is cluttered and beat down. And those are the kind of houses that nobody wants to know. They don't want to stop by. They don't want to say hello. The phone doesn't ring as often, if at all. You don't get invites. And you just kind of get locked in that solitude, what anger wanted. For you to be alone in misery. So how do you beat the nature of anger? Well, I want you to imagine that you're that exact same flower garden with all those things in your life that make you special. And that weed, it still blows into your garden. I cannot take away those seeds. That is the bad day. Bad things happen to everybody. And when that seed landed in your garden, what it truly was doing was showing you that there was a little piece of soil you had missed where you could have planted another flower. And all you have to do to take that anger, that seed, that weed, and get it out of your garden is, one, you have to want to go and look for those weeds. Because if you don't look for the weeds, you will never see them. And two, it is not hard to pull a weed. And when you pull that weed, it allows you then to start planting new flowers. That is the whole purpose of anger, is it takes your flower garden and it adds new flowers to it. But you have to want to be willing to look for those weeds, and you have to want to be willing to grow new flowers. And when you do that, it makes you so much more beautiful. Anger has that ability, but you have to understand its nature and its purpose. You have to want to pull the weeds. And when you do, I promise you, it will be worth it. So if you do find that you're living in anger, I hope that you'll take some of my advice. Go apologize to the people you've hurt. Go and say yes to opportunities in life. Go and regain the things that it is you used to love to do. Limit the time you spend in front of TV or social media or the screen. Get out and live. Because when you're living, anger hates people who live. Because anger can't live when you live. The next Broken Pieces video, we're going to talk about depression. And after that, we're going to work into anxiety. But until then, I hope you have a good day. And if you're not having a good day, it's okay to have a bad day. Take care.